Hello and welcome, friends. I hope everybody's had a great day so far. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're back, welcome back. I greatly appreciate all the ongoing support. This is my channel, Dragonsjewel, and I'm Tegan, and I'm just going to get all that wonderful YouTube-y stuff out of the way first. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please consider doing so. It's just down below. If you like the content that you see, don't forget to hit like. And of course, any love, comment, suggestions, all those wonderful things, there's that comment section down there as well for that. As you can see, we have a diamond painting in front of us here today. So that means we are going to be doing our good old whip and chat. And whip just stands for work in progress. And I'm going to chat with you guys, catch you up on the last 2 weeks. Any channel updates that I may have, that kind of good stuff. And you can listen along, pull out something crafty to work on if you want, pull out a diamond painting that you're working on, or just treat it like a podcast and get some things done around the house. So here we are. As you can see, I've got 2 sections left of Magic Potion here. I am right here at the finish line, so we are going to start working on this section here and see how far we get during this chat here. And of course, we are going all the way back to July 11th. And today is Friday morning at about, well, not morning anymore. I should say it's Friday afternoon now. It's 12:36. So yes, I am filming this very, very closely to when this is supposed to be released, because I usually put this out at 3 p.m. my time. So hopefully I get it out on time, but she may be a bit late, depending how long it takes to edit after all of this. But yeah, that is just because how things worked, how busy we were yesterday in particular, that kind of thing. So no worries, it happens. Anyways, we are going all the way back to July 11th, like I said, and that weekend on, I think it was the Sunday, whatever that would have been, there was, my city is awesome for summer festivals and summer activities that go on, and one of the many ones that they do annually is called Shakespeare in the Park, and it's run by a theater group called Free Will Shakespeare. I might even have theater in it. I can't remember the exact name, but I know it's Free Will Shakespeare. And every year they choose a Shakespeare play, and for about a month long, they set up in, it's usually our Horlack Park, but that park has been under renovations the last few summers here, so they went to a different park this year. But still, either way they do a park, they set up a very simple stage that's kind of versatile, that they can change up fairly easily to kind of still get a point across the kind of the setting. There's usually maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 actors. Some of them even play double characters sometimes, depending on the play. But they choose a play, and this year it was As You Like It, which for those of you that aren't huge Shakespeare fans, that is one of his rare romantic comedy ones. And it's about 2 cousins who are under the one father's court. The other one had their uncle banned, one had their father banned from court, kind of thing, and eventually the daughter whose father is banned, she gets banned too. So yeah, it's kind of just a comedy of errors with a little bit of romance in there, which is very cheesy and corny, but it's a really good play nonetheless and quite fun. So yeah, basically they set up in a park, and they do have a couple of bleachers that they set up that you could sit in, but that's always further back from the stage. They leave quite a bit open in front of the stage for you to bring any sort of blanket or camp chair to set up for yourself. You can bring snacks, you can bring your water bottle, whatever. And basically you set up, make yourself comfy, and enjoy a play. So I did that with my mom, my aunt, my cousin came with his wife and her mom as well. So there was a nice little group of us that went to that. My cousin's wife is such a sweetheart. She had baked some lemon loaf stuff and brought some watermelon, brought like snacks for everybody. So that was kind of a lovely little addition. Everybody just kind of brought their own water in a water bottle or whatever they wanted. They did have a little concession on site and a little kind of merch booth if you really wanted to. But it was just a lovely evening. It did kind of sprinkle a bit, but we just covered ourselves with some ponchos, and it wasn't too bad, and it didn't last very long at all. And there wasn't a storm or anything, so they didn't have to stop the production, which I have gone in previous years where they've had to kind of take a break off the stage until the storm has passed, so that is good. I haven't gone to one of their productions in a couple of years anyways, so it was nice to do it again. So that was kind of a nice little break out away from the family doing something with some awesome ladies. And then I should say, my husband went to a convention. I was here in the city, and they had Gears, which is who we got Ace through, one of the rescues in our area. I think they call themselves Greater Edmonton and Area Rescue Society is their actual name, but Gears for a short little acronym and what most people tend to kind of call them and know them by. But they had a booth set up and had a couple of their current fosters there just to kind of raise awareness. If anybody had questions about fostering or adopting procedures. Ace, it's just Riley in the hallway. Sorry, I got the grumpin with me who's snoozing and hearing noises. So he's probably gonna grump here. But yeah, so they were there representing, and normally they're supposed to do a parade for the convention that they wanted us to bring him for and kind of represent it as what they call an alum. So unfortunately they weren't able to do the parade because it was all rainy, but we decided to show up anyways with him, and he was included with them up front for the large group photo that they gather everybody for. And then he stuck around for their meet and greet panel. So yeah, we just kind of hung out there with him, and people could come over and pet him and say hi, and then we could, kind of say, yeah, we got him through Gears. He's considered one of their alums now, and if people wanted to ask us about our experience, they could have, and then we could also kind of say, these are their current fosters over there, go check them out, give them some loves and pets. And they had some really sweet fosters there with them. They had a little husky puppy who was, I think they said she was 6 months. She was on the tinier side, but I mean, she's female too, so they had her. Then they had kind of like a black lab puppy who I think was in around that 5-6 month mark as well. And then they had another alum there who was a black lab. Can't remember how old the owner said she was. And then they had Bear, which was a Mastiff mix, and he was there, and he was one of the current fosters. All super friendly and great. Ace was trying to convince Bear and one of the black lab puppies to play with him after we had been there for some time. So he was starting to turn into being a little stinker towards the end. But that was fine. That was good to go by that point. But oh my gosh, Ace loved it there. He got so much attention from all the people attending. He had so many pets and scritches, and there were a few times that he completely rolled over and wanted belly rubs. So he definitely was living the life while we were there. And then by the time the hubby drove us home, because we also brought the kid, and he went around and got some pictures with him as well. But the kid thoroughly enjoyed it as well. And by the time we got home, Ace was so tired from all the attention he got, he just pretty much slept the rest of the day. Curled up on the couch, curled up in his crate and the floor, and kind of went between those three spots, just snoozing for the rest of the day. So that was perfectly fine with me. That makes things easy. But yeah, so we did that, which was kind of fun to kind of be there as an alumni for him. And his foster mom was there, so the lady who fostered him, she was there with representing the booth, and she was so happy to see him, and he was so thrilled to see her. So that was kind of nice too. They got to see each other, which they hadn't in some time. I think the last time she actually got to see him in person was when we returned his gear tag to her at a dog park, because they reuse them. And she doesn't have any current fosters with her at the moment, but she does still foster. She also apparently had Bear when he was first a puppy, and one of his brothers. So yeah, she still definitely fosters. But right now, I guess her and the hubby are kind of busy, so they can't take on a foster at the moment, but she was still helping out at the event there. But that was quite nice. They got to see each other. She was super thrilled to see him, and he was so happy to see her. Like, stupid happy. He still recognized her and all of that. What else? And yeah, and then the other night, not last night, but the night before, I was in here diamond painting, working on one of my sections up here, up that way where you can't see. And I got up to leave my craft room. I've got some diamond paintings that are kind of beside the door and behind the door, a little bit tucked away, because my room is so small and it's so cluttered, and that's about the only spot I can put them in here. And I was trying to happily be blissful that my stash wasn't as large as it was, and trying to keep it all in one spot. Well, let me tell you, that is not going to work, because when I left the room, they all fell over. And of course, the way they fell over was in such a manner that they had managed to wedge themselves between the door and either the wall or kind of like stand that I have, my Cricut and Big Shot and a couple of things stored on and in. So it was either wedged up against that in the door or that in the wall, and so I couldn't actually really open the door to get back into the office. Poor Ace was chilling in the room with me at the time, so I had to pull the hubby away from his downstairs VR stuff and get him to help me kind of get the door back open by kind of pushing it in a bit and wedging a broom in there and moving the boxes. So I am on a mission to drag some of those downstairs with the other craft stuff that I've stowed away down there, to give myself a little bit more room in here. I was okay moving that stuff down because I don't use that stuff as often. But yeah, eventually I am moving my craft room to a slightly bigger room down there. It's got a better layout too. This room has like a, you kind of walk in and then it's kind of got like a little zigzaggy kind of wall. It's got a smaller kind of closet as well. So the other room downstairs, I think we'll just lay out a little bit better, have a little bit more room in certain spaces that I don't up here, that it'll accommodate my crafting stash in general a lot better. And I can kind of reorganize stuff once I get down there. Right now the hubby has been boxing up our massive collection of board games and other stuff that we kind of had in that room that we just don't use as much, and we're putting it out into the kind of the garage right now, and we're shuffling some things around just to kind of make that space accessible. And then I'll get down there and I'll paint it up and get my craft rooms going, all that good stuff. And then we'll be able to work on some renovations upstairs, because my craft room will be empty and we can shuffle some things around into it to kind of get those renos done a bit easier. So yeah, we've got a kind of a list of things that we're tackling in that sense. But yeah, that explosion happened twice that night, and then again the following day before we decided to head out, of course. And I'm pretty sure my hubby can always tell, because I usually have a signature little curse word sentence that I was saying, and usually it was as I was going into the kitchen to try to grab something to figure out how to wedge between the door and all of that. So he come up and knew I needed help again. Yeah, such a pain. Anyways, we'll get that resolved this weekend. It just means I'll have to move some of them downstairs. So I'll have to figure out which one I want to work on next in case it's in any of those. And then yesterday I would have normally filmed this, but we actually took off kind of mid-afternoon to go to another one of our summer festivals here, which is called K-Days. It used to be called Klondike Days back in the day, because they kind of went off the gold rush era that we had in our city. It's basically a big, huge fair that they put on our expo grounds. And my mom somehow had a pile of tickets that she had gotten for it. I don't know where from, or if they had bought that many thinking they could go, but of course it happened to be while she was away on her hiking trip, so she asked if we wanted any of the tickets. So after talking with the hubby, we decided, yeah, we'll go as a family with the little man. And so we said we'd take 3 of the tickets that she had. She still had 2 others. So I mean, we could have seen if any of our friends were available, but we didn't. We just decided to do it as a family thing. So we did that last night, or yesterday afternoon, last night. So we headed out to the fairgrounds. I think we got there at about 4 by the time we got through, out the door, in the car, through traffic, found parking, all that good stuff. So we were able to kind of walk around, check some stuff out a little bit, and then we grabbed a snack and we headed in and watched their Super Dogs show, which is a show that has been there quite most years, I think, if not all the years. And they've been doing these shows for a while, and they usually have a theme. This year's was a Wild Wild West theme, so they played it up like they were all ranch dogs and all of that, working on a ranch. And it's a group of dogs who do a whole pile of tricks. So they've got a lot of those working dog breeds are pretty common. They had a a duck tolling retriever, something along that line. I'm trying to remember the exact name. Of course, they have collies, they have little shelties, some mini, some regular size. They had a Dalmatian this year, which is the first time I've seen them use a Dalmatian. But yeah, so they had that, and they do a whole bunch of tricks. They run obstacle relay races. It's kind of agility style in some aspects there. They race them against each other. They split up the crowd half and half and say, okay, this year they said you guys yell yee-haw on the one side, cheering on their group of dogs, and then the other side yelled yahoo. So it was kind of fun. We figured Riley would enjoy that one because he loves his dogs, and sure enough, he was absolutely thrilled to sit there and watch the dogs do all of their tricks. He particularly, for some reason, loved when they would jump up on the platforms. He figured, I guess that's where the whole show should have taken place. But yeah, he enjoyed himself with that. So we watched that show. We, of course, explored the fairgrounds, got lots of food, ate our dinner there. We had him play 2 different games in the kids area. So he got to play one. They kind of made their own little dart, and I call it a dart with the like hashtag marks because it's basically a balloon filled with something that you threw at another balloon, and the goal was to kind of pop said balloon. So we bought him so many shots to throw, and he popped, I think, 2 out of the 7 balloons and won himself a prize. And we let him choose which prize he wanted, and he went for one of the they were like plastic swords and handles, and we were given batteries, so weren't sure what the batteries did at first, but once we got them popped in, it actually made little kind of like when you unsheath a sword or dagger or anything like that, it kind of made like that kind of a noise, and then a dual sound as if you were fighting with it. So that was pretty cool, and it also lit up. So that became a huge hit. He carried that all over the fairgrounds for the entire rest of the time we were there. And it's already back in his hands today, and he's running around the house playing with it. So definitely a huge hit for that prize that he chose for himself. And then the other one was a little bit of a simpler one. They just had a bunch of ducks, both large-sized and smaller-sized ones, that kind of floated around like a track, and he had to try to catch however many ducks we paid for, basically. And there were numbers on the bottom, and they kind of tally them up to a point where then, based off how many there were, there would be a shelf that would be an approximate number range, and he would choose a prize off those shelves. So he managed to get enough for, I think it was the 2nd shelf up. He was only 5 points shy of getting the 3rd shelf up. But the 2nd shelf, he went for a stuffed Stitch toy. Super thrilled. He loved that. At the Super Dogs show, we also bought him a stuffed dog from their merch booth. So he came home with 2 stuffies and a sword. We took him over and got his face painted as well. And he chose a kind of Spider-Man or inspired kind of face design. It was basically a red web with a blue spider on the forehead. And then, of course, the red webbing kind of went around his eyes like a mask. So we got that done for him, and he loved that. Of course, by the time we got home and we were getting him ready for bed, he was trying to wipe it all off, so he was ready for it to come off by that point, but he had fun. He stayed up way, way past his bedtime, which, of course, we gave him plenty of opportunity if he wanted to leave the fairground, because we asked if he was tired, and it was kind of funny, because at one point he said, yeah, he was tired, and I said, well, do you want to go home? And he goes, no. So we asked him if he was sure, and he went, yeah. We said, you can still walk around for this much longer, and he tells us, yeah, so we let him. So we made it to the end of the night that we had kind of set out as a goal, but we weren't sure if he would last or not. When they do their fireworks show, but then we found out that Their fireworks show now includes some drones, so it's a drone and fireworks show, which is really cool. They had a whole pile of drones that would light up different colors and would make kind of like pictures in the sky, really. So that was really cool. That added quite a bit to the show. So that took place at like, I think they opened the gates for that portion of the fairgrounds at about 10:45. They start the show at about 11. So it's a late night for the kiddo. We were kind of hoping he would, because we figured he might enjoy it, but we definitely left it open that if he was tired enough, he could let us know, and we would have gone home early. Well, he made it, and he loved the show. He stood on the picnic table next to me, just mesmerized by it. And then, of course, as we were leaving, I asked him if it was worth staying that late for, and he said yeah. So he really enjoyed it. He didn't fall asleep in the car like we thought he would, but he definitely started kind of zoning out. And then he was definitely overtired by the time we got home, so he was a little fussy about some of the things we needed to do before bedtime. But once we got through all of that and got him settled into the bed, he crashed pretty hard, which is not surprising at all. But I think all in all, he had a fun night. Definitely stayed up well past his bedtime, because I think by the time we got off the fairgrounds after the fireworks drone show, like through the crowd out the gates to the car, out of the parking lot, which lots of people were leaving at that time too, because they had let their kids stay up that late. So it was a lot of families leaving at that point, and some other people that weren't families that were just leaving at that hour too. But because the fairgrounds were still open for rides and food and stuff like that, so I mean, I think they go till 2 in the morning, something like that. There's live music that plays, all that good stuff. But yeah, so it was a pretty good little outing, I would say. So that's where we were last night. Lots of fun. Another really cool thing that they had there this year was a whole local gaming studios that were set up in one whole kind of hall, and they had systems set up, computers, TVs, consoles, whatever their games were on. They had like a whole little area where you could essentially kind of play a little bit of their demos, or play test what they had for a game and check out what their up and coming games were about. So that was pretty cool. Then he of course used it as some networking and got himself some product keys as a gaming streamer that he'll probably be giving some of those games a go. I'll be checking them out, of course, on Steam, because that's where many of them were. But it was really nice because they're all local within Alberta. So they're little indie studios, but definitely can't knock those, because sometimes they come out with really great games, and at that point in game development, it's their labors of love, definitely, but they put a lot of hard work into them. So they're not cutting corners generally. So there was that little area, of course. Then they have a whole vendor hall. So it was a pretty good little outing. A little bit of a late night, but a good outing and fun. We don't go every year. And it was the first year sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to talk. It was the first year that we brought the little man, since he was super little. Like last time we went with him, he was in a stroller, still had his trach and vent and stuff like that, so he I don't think he would have remembered a ton of it at that age either. So this was kind of the first year where he could kind of do things, enjoy it, and run around and whatnot, and hopefully remember it. So that was fun, and I can hear his little sword going off out there. I don't know if you guys can hear that. He's pretty much right outside the door right now with it. But yeah. So that was fun. That kind of lands us at what we've been up to for the last 2 weeks. I've been watching a ton of stuff, of course. I've been watching The Sandman on Netflix, catching up on what they have of the second season. There's a little bit of a finale coming for that. That's going to be the final season, but they don't have all of it out on Netflix just yet. So waiting for the rest of that now. So I'm all caught up there. What else? I watched Running Point, which I think is also Netflix. It's got, what's her name? Kate Hudson, I think. Who's kind of part of a wealthy family who owns a basketball team and all of that, and she has to take over for one of the brothers as CEO, and they, of course, because she's a woman, doesn't think she'll run it or knows anything about business, blah blah blah, and she actually kind of makes some controversial choices that a lot of them, like, she keeps a player they think they should be getting rid of right at the end of a season, little things like that. And the team actually ends up making it into the finals, which they were kind of the underdogs of placing into the finals, being able to play in the finals, just because of track record of how the season was going, how certain players were playing and stuff like that. Yeah, so that was kind of like a little comedy, quick little kind of 30-minute type shows. So I watched that. Then there was another one called Wild Cards that I watched that's newer on Netflix, and it's a con woman who basically says something while she's been arrested and helps solve where some thief plans to hit next, and kind of gives them a really good lead on a case because of her particular skill set. And there's a cop who's kind of been demoted to the waterfront patrol kind of type jobs where they are, and so they pair her up with him and give them cases, but not really cases, because of something he did, and he's essentially like being punished for it in a sense. But basically they end up working so well together, and they solve cases and randomly get themselves in cases that really shouldn't have been handed over to them, but they solve them, get them done, all that. And so he basically ends up working himself back onto a desk and full-time detective and off of the waterfront jobs, which is on a boat, and she ends up getting, I think, a different type of sentence. Like, they promise her that she'll get community service instead of kind of jail time sort of thing. So it benefits them both. But, of course, they have to try to learn how to work together, trust each other, all of that good stuff. So I watched that. That was pretty good. And then I watched another one over on Disney Plus called Only Murders in the Building. That one has about 4 seasons and has Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez as the mains. And they all live in this historical kind of apartment building in Upper East Side or West Side or whatever it is of New York. And they have a murder happen in the building that they all just kind of end up getting pulled into and trying to solve. And so they decide that even though they're all 3 complete strangers to each other, they decide that they're going to start a podcast, which they call Only Murders in the Building, because that was their idea, is to only podcast and try to solve stuff that happens in their building. So yeah, they decide to go that route, and it of course turns into a whole spiral of more than one murder happening in the building, them trying to solve. Each season is a new murder pretty much, with the way that it goes, because they think they just have it solved and they're good to go and they're free, and then right at the end of the season somebody gets murdered. That becomes the new case for the following season essentially. But there's some dynamic because of course Steve Martin and Martin Short play older gentlemen in the building who are in like their 70s kind of thing, and then Selena Gomez plays a 30-year-old woman who's basically an old soul and a spinster. Not super like a little bit of like a loner too. She's not like she's not a social butterfly or anything like that. She just kind of sticks to herself, goes home and knits kind of thing. But yeah, they have some pretty good characters in that. So I watched that, and then I watched the live-action Snow White movie on not Netflix, Disney Plus as well. So yeah, and then the Aquaman, the newest Aquaman as well. I watched that. So I've just kind of been binge watching a whole bunch of stuff while I diamond paint pretty much. And then I have also gotten back onto YouTube as a watcher, not just a content creator, because usually lately I've just been on my studio side of things, but I've gotten back into seeing who's on my subscribed list and kind of going through that. And I have gotten rid of some that I had on there because there were a few that have been kind of inactive for quite some time. I don't know if they're gonna come back or not, but I have so many on my list that I thought I'd weed them out, and then I can access the ones that are actually active and making content a little easier. So I've been catching up on some wip&chats and videos and stuff by some other wonderful content creators. So that's been nice because I've been able to kind of find them easily again after doing that little kind of a cleanup. And it's not that I had to weed out a ton, but just enough to kind of get what's active again kind of thing on YouTube. So that was nice. Yeah, I think that is pretty much about it about what I've been up to and whatnot. So that pretty much leaves any of those little things that I have for the channel, which isn't a great deal. Really, I've got some post reviews to film. Obviously, this canvas is coming to a finish, so I'll have that one that I'll have to film. I'm thinking I'll probably try to do a short where I pan the full canvas. I just gotta kind of figure out exactly the best place to do that because this is a fairly large canvas. But then also there will be the post review video where I kind of show it on video as well as I can on the camera so you can kind of see the full image. I'll of course snap a photo of it and put that up on Instagram to see the full image of it in a picture as well. So definitely, if that's something you want to see or follow, make sure you are looking in those places for it once it's done. I've also did a bunch of the Pixels sticker kits, so I want to do a post-review video. Oh, I know, you've got things to say. I'll do a post-review video on those as well. And then I had some Sparkle Pals from Diamond Art Club that I've since worked on and finished. So once again, I like to do kind of a post video on all of those. So there's a couple of post reviews type things to film here. Other than that, I'm going to start looking at filming that August PR package because I'm hoping to get that up by the end of next week maybe, or early the week after, the very latest. So definitely be looking at that right away. And then I had my, oh I know, can you wait 2 more minutes? Give mommy a minute to finish this up. Had my July witch casket come, so I've got that filmed. I just have to edit the video and get it out. So there will be that coming. That'll probably be in the lineup of videos for the week coming up here as well. And of course, we're still working towards our next giveaway goal. I haven't reached there yet. It looked like for a bit there, we kind of took another little dip back down. Yeah, are you done making noises yet? Looked like we took a little bit of a dip down, and now we're kind of back at where we were. So yeah, frustrating as it is because we're almost there, and it's kind of doing a little bit of a bouncy game. But I know we'll get there, so we're still keeping an eye on that. I just might ignore it for a little bit because it's driving me crazy. And then maybe it'll hit when I'm not spying on it so intensely. Or at least that's what I can hope. Yeah, so I think that's really about it. The Facebook group, would love to see more of you over there, see what everybody's working on. So if you haven't joined up, please join up. All of that's of course down in the description box below. I'm really eager to get that group kind of growing so that we can do some fun things in there. Which right now it's just a little bit too small to kind of do, even if it's just starting up some paint-alongs that people can, I can choose a theme and people just kind of join along and share something within that theme that they're working on, even if it's just that at this point, not a full-on event. I would love to even just start getting into that, but we need more people. Need more people over there for that. Because otherwise it would be a very, very tiny, small group. And then if not everybody participated in the theme because they didn't have a canvas that fit or something, then it would be an even smaller group. But yeah, so here's hoping that kind of starts growing too. Definitely don't be shy. You don't have to post all the time, but it's a wonderful little group to kind of share your projects that you're working on, the canvases that you're working on, getting some inspiration if that's what you want. If you have any questions, all that good stuff. I'm still looking at hopefully a live stream type scheduling. I just need to figure out a good solution for a microphone. I have one, but talking to the hubby, he says basically you place it in front of you, but obviously because I do a lot of stuff in front of me on the desk, I need a little bit of a better setup, which means I would be looking at a boom arm of sorts, which is what I have my camera set up on, but then I need another one, and then where do I put that without blocking certain things? So it looks like I finished this section, which is awesome. So I've got some little logistics like that to work out. Maybe a little bit of equipment that I have to look at getting. So that might not happen until I'm down in that new crafting space either, but it's on the mind. I'm trying to think of a good day that I could do that on, that I could keep kind of consistent with minimal cancellations if I can. So yeah, there's that. I haven't forgotten about it. I'm just trying to think of the best way to work it and keep it in the scheduling as consistently as possible for everybody. Yeah, I think that's pretty much about it for these last 2 weeks. I can't think of anything else that I need to mention. I've probably forgotten something. I usually do. Let's face it, that's my life. Anywhere I go, I've always forgotten something. Whether it's a trip, trying to remember something to say. Yeah, that's just my jam. So I will, of course, will see everybody in the next video with something new. Bye.